English Literature, Paper 1, Section B, A Christmas Carol. In this video, we will look at Section B of Paper 1. This is the 19th century section, and for you, it means answering a question on A Christmas Carol. Specifically, we will look at the format of the question, how to deal with the extract, with the novel as a whole, how to structure your answer, and advice on using quotations before concluding with some final tips. For Section B of Paper 1, you will be answering the question on Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. And you will have 50 minutes to write your answer. A short extract from the novel will be printed on the page. You will answer the question by analysing the extract and then writing about the novel as a whole. You should spend up to 5 minutes making notes on the extract. In this case, it's from quite early in the novel and focuses on Jacob Marley and his warning about Scrooge's fate. Read the question carefully, noting its focus. Here, it's how the ghosts changed Scrooge's attitude and behaviour. Read through the extract, highlighting anything which suggests or refers to ways in which Marley is trying to get Scrooge to change his outlook. At this stage, you're just looking for potential evidence. Return to the focus of the question. Overall, what does Dickens seem to be saying about Scrooge and what needs to change? The notes on screen are fuller and neater than yours need to be because they are for illustrative purposes. If you want, you can start writing about the extract whilst your notes are fresh in your mind. Alternatively, it may be better to finish making notes on the novel as a whole just in case you forget or don't leave enough time. Most students and teachers think it's best to complete all the notes before starting to write the answer, so we'll move on to the second part. As you'll be writing about the rest of the novel from memory, it's less likely that you'll be able to go into as much detail as for the extract analysis. Nevertheless, do think hard and aim to be as precise and specific as possible. Start with examples of what the ghosts do to Scrooge to get him to change elsewhere in the novel, and briefly jot down some examples. You're just brainstorming now, so don't worry too much about whether you'll write about every one of your notes. At this stage, you're jogging your memory and putting down potential points. Try to cover as much of the novel as possible. Aim to have something to say from the beginning, middle and end. If possible, add some quotations or specific references. We'll look at quotations later in this video. Again, it doesn't matter if you'll use them in your answer. You've got them ready just in case. And, as with the extract, look at the question focus and summarise what Dickens seems to convey about Scrooge's attitude and behaviour and the ways the ghosts try to affect him and persuade him in the novel's other chapters. You are now ready to write your answer. There is no official or examiner-approved method when it comes to structuring the answer to the Christmas Carol question. So long as your answer is clear, relevant to the task, and deals with the extract and the novel as a whole, you'll be fine. However, this suggested approach is commonly used. Begin by analysing and explaining the extract. Then turn your attention to the novel as a whole. In this video, we'll be following this approach. When writing about the extract, it's best to start by very briefly putting it into context, for example, when it comes in the novel and why the moment in the extract is important. Note how the answer here echoes the key wording of the task, help Scrooge change his attitudes and behaviour. Then track through the extract, picking up on your highlighted evidence and linking it to a point about Scrooge's mindset or a ghost persuasive method. You should be familiar with this approach from the reading sections of the English language papers. It's also the approach to take with the Macbeth task in section A. There's no need to use everything you've highlighted, but do try to say something about the beginning, middle and end of the extract. Where the extract ends is often very important, as it's been deliberately chosen by the example to be the cut-off point for a particular reason. In this case, it ends with the hint that Scrooge is beginning to take in what Marley is saying because he has become more thoughtful. This example answer isn't quite a full one, but it should give you a clear indication of how to write about the extract. Because the extract is printed for you, there's no excuse for not consistently using supporting quotations and offering a close analysis. It's probable that you'll spend around 20 minutes writing about the extract. When you've tracked to the end, start writing about the novel as a whole. Try to begin by commenting on either a clear point of similarity or a point of contrast. For the remainder of the answer, use your earlier notes to explain what the rest of A Christmas Carol has to say on the question focus. So in our example, it's how essential and difficult it is to get Scrooge to overcome his greed and stubbornness. It does take 4 ghostly visits and a mixture of threats, shocks, and remembering to bring about necessary change. One thing to consider as you write is to try to make points of similarity and difference with the extract, so as to provide a tighter or more coherent answer. Ideally, you'll spend about 20 minutes on writing about the novel as a whole. If you've still got time, by all means add a conclusion by writing a 1 or 2 sentence summary of your answer to the question. This isn't essential though. What is checking your work carefully for clear, well-supported and relevant points. Here's the example answer for dealing with the whole novel. There are many other points which could be made. But in the end, you have a limited amount of writing time, so focus on your strengths and write about those aspects of the novel you feel most confident about. Do try, however, to cover as much of the novel as possible. A copy of the full example answer is available to download from either the ETV page or YouTube site. There are different ways of using quotations. The add-on, don't write "I know this because the novel says", just use a colon, much quicker and better. The aside, using either brackets or dashes. The integrated quote. This is the best one to use, as it gives the impression that you're exploring the text and helps to give a flow to your answer. By the way, these different ways work for all the literature questions and the reading sections of the language papers. For writing about the novel as a whole, you don't need to worry too much about writing the quotation out exactly correct. The examiner is pretty forgiving and will credit misworded quotations. All the examples on screen are fine. If you can't think of a quotation or aren't very good at memorizing quotations, remember that specific references are just as good. Here are a couple of example points with a quotation each. And the same points, but with specific references instead. Both get equal credit. The important thing is to support your points with clear and precise evidence from the text. It helps to A, show what you mean, and B, make your argument more convincing. Allow yourself 5 minutes to check your work carefully. Make sure your points are clear, well supported, and are relevant to the question. It's likely that your answer will be at least on the 3rd page somewhere, unless you have very small handwriting. However, don't be tempted to spend more than 50 minutes on the question in total. Divide the 50 minutes as follows: 5 minutes note making, about 20 minutes each writing about the bullet points, and then 5 minutes checking. The best answers will discuss the novel's themes and ideas. Ask yourself, what does A Christmas Carol say about the question's focus? What are Dickens' purposes, in other words? And finally, think hard. Dig deep and use the opportunity to impress the examiner with the depth and breadth of your understanding of A Christmas Carol. Do yourself proud. You've worked hard these past 2 years and you want the examiner to know it. Good luck and take care.